joined by my colleague, Peter Brach, or Director Brach. Peter is currently the Executive Director of the Environmental Emergency Branch within the BC Ministry of the Environment and Parks, and which is responsible for protecting the welfare of the public in the event of an environmental emergency or disaster. Peter previously served as the Director of the Environmental Emergency Program, where he implemented new emergency legislation under the Environmental Management Act. And you can find more information about the work that he was doing throughout the COVID time period and around wildfires and atmospheric rivers in his bio in the chat as well. So, Peter, I'll hand things over to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Meg. Appreciate that. So good morning, everyone. I should mention I'm speaking to you today from the traditional territory of the Kwangun-speaking peoples, as well as the Songhees First Nation. And our headquarters here is located at Victoria as well. So yeah, we'll get moving here. Next slide, please. Yeah, so a little bit about us. For those that don't know, our branch consists currently of about 48 staff, and we carry out activities to protect the environment. Our team members are located where you can see in the photo on the left there, about 17 communities throughout British Columbia. We are the provincial lead for responding to recovering from environmental emergencies and disasters. And on the right, you'll see just some of our key mandate and legislation. So I'll just move through it real quickly. The Minister Environment Act, of course, describes our purpose and functions of our ministry, and that includes our requirement to actually have a branch that plans for and coordinates a program to protect the welfare of the public in the event of an emergency or disaster. The Environmental Management Act there just sets out the requirements for spill preparedness, response, and recovery. And our Emergency Disaster and Management Act, that is a act from my former ministry, Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness. And that act designates Ministry of Environment and Parks as the lead ministry that's responsible for hazardous spills. So we take that and all of those acts very seriously. The last piece there that's listed is fairly new, and that sort of identifies us as the environmental sector lead for all hazards impacting the environment under what's known the disaster recovery framework for the province. So that means for any disaster, for any hazard, we are the government ministry lead for any of those that do impact the environment. So yeah, a little bit about us there. I'll go for next slide, please. This says two examples of files that we're currently working. So on the left is New Cell Pulp Mill. New Cell Pulp Mill is located in North Vancouver Island. That's just outside of Port Alice, BC. And this is a facility that was abandoned in 2019. We intervened to prevent some of the hazardous material spills, and the receiver was actually appointed in 2019. So some of our key actions to date was stabilizing and de-risking the site. There's been about 11.5 million liters of chemicals removed. And we've treated about just over 1 billion liters of effluent on that site. And if you just advance the slide for one button press, I think you'll see what the site looks like currently. I'm not sure if that's going to take or not on your slide. Yeah, there you go. So that's just a little bit of before and after, and that's the where we're sitting now. So it's a pretty big effort. That effort there, we're forecasted to spend just around $210 million by project completion on addressing that project. So it's been a big effort for all involved. Another thing that we have in our branch that we've set up just following the Atmospheric River event of 2021 is the Environmental Disaster Operations Team. And that team was responsible for coming in and really responding to and recovering from that event. For those that don't know, the 2021 Atmospheric River event was one of the largest natural disasters in Canadian history. And so that resulted in a tremendous amount of debris and sediment issues for British Columbia. So in that effort, what we refer to as the EDOT team assessed for public safety action about 133 waterways, 577 debris sites, and that resulted in just over 4,500 metric tons of debris removed. So it was a real significant project. Had about 40 First Nations engaged, 337 community members were trained, and we have a 5-year post-disaster window for federal funding, and we have a really good relationship with our federal partners here in Canada, so they've been very supportive of that effort. So really all hands on deck, all levels of government, all First Nations and Indigenous communities involved. So yeah, a little bit about some examples there. That EDOT effort there on the right, budgeted for about 206 million over 5 years, about 83 million spent in response and 123 million spent in environmental recovery operations. So those efforts both continue, and we're the lead of both of those projects in BC. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a little bit of statistics overview for BC, and you'll notice that for those that aren't aware, BC is divided into four regions when it comes to environmental emergencies and how our operations are set up. So the dark blue there on the left on the map there is represents the northern region. Light blue is the southern interior, and the teal color there is lower mainland. Yellow is Vancouver Island, as you're probably aware. And so that's just a bit of a visual of where our reported spills have occurred from 24 to 25. Just had over 5,000 reported spills for that period. Regional trends, as you can imagine, is lower mainland has consistently report some of our highest number of spills. The primary cause is normally equipment failure. About 44% of spills is equipment failure. And for material type, we get about 30, just over 30% generally annually. That's primarily flammable liquids, and that sort of makes up the bulk of what we respond to. Next slide, please. I have a couple spill incidents we'll just share here that we've been dealing with in the fall there. So this first one here is Langara Island out near Haida Gwaii or on Haida Gwaii, and that was a diesel spill that occurred in September. Uh, 2,300 liters of diesel spilled. That was due to a fuel transfer at a fishing lodge. There was human error. Unified command was set up and was established at the Council of Haida Nations office. Obviously, the responsible person was involved. Council of Haida Nation, Old Masat Village. Um, our branch, of course, Coast Guard and Environment, Climate Change Canada were involved as well. So response actions, we mobilized the site, of course, issued spill obligations letter to the RP, and then supported environmental impact assessments because it started on land and wildlife monitoring and waste management were key components. There's some SCAT surveys involved and sampling and remedial planning that occurred as well. So we still have environmental recovery staff that oversee and are monitoring the remedial works. So it's in progress. Yeah, that's just one example. The next slide is another example of a spill incident there. This is just something that occurred on the weekend here. So this is the Kamloops train derailment that occurred on November 1st. So that was a 16 rail car derailment that include one locomotive as well. And for those that don't know, that's just Kamloops Lake is just west of Kamloops. This is just near Cherry Creek. And the response actions to date for provincial and federal responders, of course, is to deploy to site along with the contractors that were involved in responding. Containment booms were installed. You can see there, this is early light, first light photo on the day one. So you'll see some fuel there that's being focused on being stabilized with the boom, and then tertiary booms have been added since that photo was taken, of course. There's surface water sampling that's occurred, and then debris and car removal are underway. I think I just heard that the fuel transfer just occurred for one of the aviation fuel cars there on derailed off the tracks, and the next focus is the one on the bank there. So yeah, quite a challenging area. Probably is a lot steeper than it looks in the photo. But it's been difficult terrain, of course, to access for all those involved. So yeah, big effort, and that's just been taking a little bit of our time and focus here for this week. Obviously, multi-agency coordination occurs, and we've had public updates on our site if you're interested. So yeah, two examples there, and maybe I'll move to the next slide. This is just a bit of a key considerations piece here. Obviously, climate change driving more frequent severe compounding events. So floods and landslides is a piece that we are involved in. It's not just spills; it's all environmental emergencies and disasters, as I mentioned on the earlier slide. So yeah, we're certainly seeing that landscape changing. The photo there is from the Chicolton landslide that occurred just over a year ago, and that was right on the Chicolton River. So that is a pretty significant landslide that did a total blockage for the Chicolton River there. So we're just seeing more and more of that as I know all of our partner agencies are as well. We obviously are considering in our planning focus is increasing crude oil transport through Burrard Inlet, and then as well as the expansion of the Trans Mountain pipeline capacity is a key focus in BC for additional capacity. So those are things that we just consider for our planning and preparedness focuses. And maybe I'll advance to the next slide there. I think this is our last slide. Can happy to go to questions, but yeah, a little bit on just, our intention is to continue to deliver high quality service. That includes to all of our levels of government, all of our communities, as well as our key contractors and partners in the private sector as well. So yeah, next little while we're focusing on just continuing to strengthen our partnerships. We're increasing our focus on exercises and training, and maintaining and recognizing that we need to have that strong polluter pay principle that continues. So that's in a nutshell, it's just some key focuses on what we try to do externally to ensure that we're meeting those requirements. And maybe in the spirit of time, I'll just end it at that, Meg, and try to get us back on track. But I'm open to questions and can maybe if someone can field those in the chat there, I'm happy to take them. Thank you.